Hello, welcome to the Self-Learning Podcast by Dr. Sushma Singh. Let us start discussion on Chapter 4, Introducing Western Sociology. And our topic is Max Weber and Interpretive Sociology. Weber argued that the overall objective of social sciences was to develop an interpretive understanding of social action. These sciences were thus very different from the natural sciences, which aimed to discover the objective laws of nature governing the physical world. Since the central concern of the social sciences was with social action, and since human actions necessarily involved subjective meanings, the methods of inquiry of social science also had to be different from the methods of natural science. For Weber, social action included all human behavior that was meaningful, that is, action to which actors attached a meaning. In studying social action, the sociologist's task was to recover the meanings attributed by the actor. To accomplish this task, the sociologists had to put themselves in the actor's place and imagine what these meanings were or could have been. Sociology was thus a systematic form of empathetic understanding, that is, an understanding based not on feeling for sympathy but feeling with empathy. The empathetic understanding which sociologists derive from this exercise enables them to access the subjective meanings and motivations of social actors. Weber was among the first to discuss the special and complex kind of objectivity that the social sciences had to cultivate. The social world was founded on subjective human meanings, values, feelings, prejudices, ideas, and so on. In studying this world, the social sciences inevitably had to deal with these subjective meanings. In order to capture these meanings and describe them accurately, social scientists had to constantly practice empathetic understanding by putting themselves imaginatively in the place of the people whose actions they were studying. But this investigation had to be done objectively even though it was concerned with subjective matters. Thus, the empathetic understanding required the sociologist to faithfully record the subjective meanings and motivations of social actors without allowing his or her own personal beliefs and opinions to influence this process in any way. In other words, sociologists were meant to describe, not judge, the subjective feelings of others. Weber called this kind of objectivity value neutrality. The sociologist must naturally record subjective values without being affected by his or her own feelings, opinions about these values. Weber recognized that this was very difficult to do because social scientists were also members of society and always had their own subjective beliefs and prejudice. However, they had to practice great self-discipline, exercise an iron will, as he puts it, in order to remain value neutral when describing the values and worldviews of others. Apart from empathetic understanding, Weber also suggested another methodological tool for doing sociology, the ideal type. An ideal type is a logically consistent model of a social phenomena that highlights its most significant characteristics. Being a conceptual tool designed to help analysis, it is not meant to be an exact reproduction of reality. Ideal types may aggregate some features of phenomena that are considered to be analytically important and ignore or downplay others. Obviously, an ideal type should correspond to reality in a broad sense, but its main job is to assist, analyze by bringing about important features and connections of the social phenomena being studied. An ideal type is to be judged by how helpful it is for analysis and understanding, not by how accurate or detailed a description it provides. The ideal type was used by Weber to analyze the relationship between the ethics of world religions and the rationalization of the social world in different civilizations. It was in this context that Weber suggested that ethics of certain Protestant sects within Christianity had a deep influence on the development of capitalism in Europe. Weber again used the ideal type to illustrate the three types of authority that he defined as traditional, charismatic, and rational legal. While the source of traditional authority was custom and precedence, charismatic authority derived from divine sources or the gift of grace, and rational legal authority was based on legal demarcation of authority. Rational legal authority which prevailed in modern times was epistomized in the bureaucracy. Now let us move to discuss bureaucracy. It was a mode of organization which was premised on the separation of the public from the domestic world. This meant that the behavior in the public domain was regulated by explicit rules and regulations. Moreover, as a public institution, bureaucracy restricted the power of the officials in regard to their responsibilities and did not provide absolute power to them. Bureaucratic authority is characterized by these features, like functioning of officials, hierarchical ordering of position, reliance on written document, office management, and conduct in office. The first one is functioning of officials. Within the bureaucracy, officials have fixed area of official jurisdiction governed by rules, laws, and administrative regulations. The regular activities of the bureaucratic organization are distributed in a fixed way as official duties. Moreover, commands are issued by higher authorities for implementation by subordinates in a stable way, but the responsibilities of officials are strictly delimited by the authority available to them. As duties are to be fulfilled on a regular basis, only those who have the requisite qualification to perform them are employed. Official positions in a bureaucracy are independent of the incumbent as they continue beyond the tenure of any occupant. The second one is hierarchical ordering of positions. Authority and office are placed on a graded hierarchy where the higher officials supervise the lower ones. This allows the scope of appeal to the higher official in case of dissatisfaction with the decisions of lower officials. The third one is reliance on written document. The management of a bureaucratic organization is carried out on the basis of written documents, the files, which are preserved as records. There is accumulation in the decision making of the bureau or office. It is also a part of the public domain which is separate from the private life of the officials. The next one is office management. As office management is a specialized and modern activity, it requires trained and skilled personnel to conduct operations. And next one is conduct in office. As official activity demands the full-time attention of officials irrespective of his or her delimited hours in office, hence an official's conduct in office is governed by exhaustive rules and regulations. These separate his or her public conduct from his or her behavior in private domain. Also, since these rules and regulations have legal recognition, officials can be held accountable. Weber's characterization of bureaucracy as a modern form of political authority demonstrated how an individual actor was both recognized for his or her skills and training and given responsibilities with the requisite authority to implement them. The legal delimitation of task and authority constrained unbridled power and made officials accountable to their clients as the work was carried out in the public domain. Now let us wind up the session, and we have come to the end of the chapter. Thank you very much for engaging yourself with the self-learning podcast.